Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the episode 178 of the Canadian Football Countdown, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network. My name's Adam Stewart, and I'm of course joined, as always, by Trey Colbeck. Trey, how are you this evening?
Oh man, this is a cookie. I'm sorry.
It's already gone off the rails in 1.5 seconds. All right.
I had to have my smile cookie before the show. I'm doing great, man. Just watched the Blue Jays kicking some butt. Great. And mom and dad left us home alone tonight and gave us some pizza money, but it looks like we bought a 15-pack with it instead, right, Adam? So let's have some fun.
Hey, we got to do what we got to do around here. Of course, like you just said, Ryan's not here tonight. Had a little bit of scheduling conflict, so he can't make it for a little bit here. So you get the two of us, which is probably scary in its own right, but hey, we're always here to talk to you. We're always wanting to go and hear from you. Tonight, we're going to be previewing the Week 16 in the CFL. We're going to take a look at the major storylines. We're going to talk our top CFL fantasy options. And yes, Ryan did leave us some options there as well, so you'll get some of his as well if you're looking for them. And, of course, our picks against the spread for this upcoming week. And, hey, we want to take your comments and questions live throughout the show as well. This is all made possible by our presenting sponsor, Game Time TV. Be sure to learn more by visiting at watch.gametimetv.ca or by following on Facebook at facebook.com/GameTimeTVMB. As you heard before, it's just me and Trey tonight, so we're going to be running through the 3 games, and that means we got some extra time for comments tonight or questions or, hey, you know what it's called? Is AMA, I believe, right, Trey? Ask us anything. If you got any questions for us or anything at all, put them in the comments like Chris just did over in the chat. Good evening to you as well, a longtime follower of us. Thank you very much for coming in. And before we go any further, though, as always, we want to acknowledge that the Canadian Football Countdown is brought to you from Treaty 1 territory, traditional home of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, as well as the homeland of the Métis Nation, as well as from Treaty 4 territory, traditional territory of the Cree, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and Métis Nation. We'd also like to take a moment to thank one of our sponsors for this episode of the podcast, Betstamp. There are so many different sports books out there these days, and each one offers you different prices on the same games. Well, how do you ensure that you're getting the best value? Head to Betstamp. Betstamp provides you the info you need at no additional cost. Simply pull up the game on the Betstamp app to see the odds offered by each of their different storybook affiliates for that particular game to help you place the bet that will maximize the return on the pick you're making. Find some odds you like, sign up at the corresponding site through the Betstamp BetLink page within the app and link your accounts to easily track the wagers you've made. And if you want some extra insight before you place your wagers, check out the commission-free Betstamp Marketplace, where you can see the bets that others have placed. And through Betstamp's verified bet tracking, you can get the guarantee that the odds that others have picked are based on verified and legitimate info. You can find our consensus CFL picks on there under the name CF Countdown Pod, and Trey's pick as well under the Trey CF Countdown username. Visit the Betstamp.app or download the free app from your local app store from whichever phone you're using and sign up with referral code CFC to start using Betstamp free today. Best of luck with your wagers, and remember, always bet responsibly. Don't bet the farm, don't bet the tuition, and seriously, it's for fun. Don't bet anything that you're not comfortable with. We're going to move on here, Trey. It's, again, kind of different show here. Chris, again, says sorry for missing Monday. He had a midterm. Hey, no problem, man. Everybody's busy at this time of year. We understand that. We're going to move on, Noah, as a little bit of breaking news just came out here about 20, 30 minutes before we actually got onto the air from Dave Naylor of TSN, just in saying that Drew Desjardins will likely not be making a CFL return anytime soon. Trey, it sounds like he's got some options in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. Offensive lineman. And, he's one of those fringe guys, right? You need him on a practice roster here and there, but you can steal it from practice rosters. So sometimes you can't keep the people you want to. I'm sure he'll find somewhere else. No, I don't think he's going to be in green and white anytime soon or blue and gold. He'll probably Yeah, there's a few teams I'm sure that need some old lines. They have some there's a lot of quarterbacks looking up at the blue sky, both sides of the border. So, he's definitely in high demand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if you can get a guy like him, even possibly wanting to get that NFL shot, I mean, the money is just so much more in the NFL. He's been a part of NFL teams already. I mean, he was with the hoodie and with Patriots. I mean, that's a big thing on your resume as well. Didn't make the Patriots, didn't make the Saints, but I'll tell you right now, he's going to be on a team here probably within a week or so, I would think. And it probably will be an NFL practice roster spot for Drew Desjardins. Rob in the chat says, unfortunately, the Blue Jay game is tied. Well, hey, there's still lots of game left. I think we're in, the bottom of the 8th now, I think. So, hey, we'll get our chances here. And also, Rob just added to the chat as well that Desjardins would want to exhaust all his options in the NFL before coming to CFL. 100%. I mean, it's just way more money to be doing that for sure. Let's move on to the storyline, shall we, Trey?
Sounds good to me, man. Sounds good to me.
Absolutely. So, first game of the week, it is a Friday night football game, and I think this one here has got some extreme playoff ramifications. If any game has some extreme ramifications, Hamilton are going to travel out to Montreal. We didn't have to ask Gary Stern on who he was picking this week. His Alouettes are at home against the Ticats, and again, I think 2 points separates these teams right now. And you've also got a tiebreaker to worry about as well, possibly. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Montreal won the first game against the Ticats back. Or was it? I think, right? I got that right? So anyways.
No. Yeah, 29-28 on August 20th for Montreal. So, tiebreaker, you're right, tiebreaker. And if they play what do they play? 3 times probably?
Yeah, I think one more time, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so the points doesn't overly matter, but just in case they play 4 times, some of those points matter too, right? So,
absolutely.
They have a home and home, I think.
Yeah, I believe that's right. So, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. So, anyway, the big thing on this one here in this game, I think everybody's going to be keeping the eye over on the Hamilton Tiger Cats side of the football. Probably looking at Dane Evans. He got 5 touchdowns against Winnipeg. That's not very common. Anyway, he's got 5 touchdowns against the Bombers last week. Looked absolutely just really, really good. I know that we're still going to hear maybe about the argument that maybe the Winnipeg defense isn't quite what it is, but he still beat a 12-1 team. I mean, as much as you can go and say that Hamilton is maybe not the best team in the league, they have these moments. And Trey, what do they need to do to keep Dane Evans going? Is it the run game? Can they keep throwing the ball by committee? What do they need to do this week?
Yeah, the Trey's keys to the game, going to run the ball, right? And I don't even remember off the top of my head, but I feel like they ran it a fair bit more against the Bombers last week than they normally do. Let me just get the recap up, but that's what you got to do. And hey, it's weird. It's the battle of the 2 teams that have beaten Winnipeg this year, now fighting for a playoff spot, right? So let me see. Yeah, they didn't really rush as much as I thought. I thought they were closer to 100. Looks like by committee, they got to about just under 100. So, it's really weird. This East, we keep talking about this East, but it's going to be an exciting game, and you got to worry about Saskatchewan because Saskatchewan's on the bye, right? So these 2 teams need to catch ground on a team who's sleeping or getting the week off. So these games in hand, I was saying last time I was on this show, these game in hands are something we talk about a lot in hockey, but we don't talk about too much in football because it doesn't happen too much. But in the CFL right now, when Montreal's got 2 games in hand on Saskatchewan, that's 4 potentially big points that they can get down the stretch when Saskatchewan's sitting at home or doing, what did I see on their social media? They were at Tim's doing smile cookies today, right? Well, they might be able to do that in November if Montreal and Hamilton can catch them, right? So this is a big game, and watch a tie. You know what I mean? Watch a tie just throw the division into chaos too, right? Because the last time they played was a 1-point game, and no, I don't even want to talk about that, Adam. So you go on.
You know what? I can't even. When I think of tie game, all I can think about is that episode of The Simpsons where Mo and they go and they tie in a hockey game, and the whole place just gets ripped apart. I don't think this is going to be a tie like that. My apologies as well. I was just looking in the back here. Hamilton won the first game against Montreal, 24-17. And then I believe they won the second game 29-28. So Hamilton does have the season series on the Montreal Alouettes. Montreal won that one by 1. So it's a tie series. This game here is all for all the marbles. When it gets down to breaking a tie, it comes down to season series first. So this game could really, really matter for either Hamilton or Montreal. As far as a crossover is concerned, if you're the Saskatchewan Roughriders right now, you better start learning your French, because that might be the only way you're going to see some post-season action. Trey, you were talking earlier this week, and I know that usually we don't go off and on about this, but I want to get your opinion a little bit, because we didn't get it on Monday, about what's happening over in Saskatchewan for 2 minutes. Doesn't sound like anything positive lately, but can Saskatchewan still catch Hamilton for the playoffs? Or I know you were kind of putting in the chat last week on Monday that there's no chances they're going to catch him now. You still sticking by that?
Well, if you watch my social media closely, I'm already trying to figure out who the quarterback is for Saskatchewan next year, right? So, it's one of those things. I'm going to compare them to the Winnipeg Jets. It's one of those things. If they get in, they're going to get in on that wild card spot and then probably get swept first round, right? And yes, they get the East Division, la-di-da, but right now they might face Hamilton or Montreal, who we just talked about both have beaten Winnipeg, right? A team that Saskatchewan couldn't even beat. So the Saskatchewan going into either the Steel Town or Montreal in November doesn't look good, right? So it's one of those things. They might get in, but I don't give them much hope of winning the game and winning 2. Ooh. I mean, would that not be the story of the year, though? The struggle of Fajardo and the team, and then they not only did they win 2 on the road, but first ever crossover, and then they win it at home. Like, that sounds like the dumb Saskatchewan thing that you guys are going to brag about for the next 2 decades, right? Like, if that happened.
Well, hey, we still brag about the 07 Grey Cup all the time.
That's what I mean, right? And then if it was against Winnipeg too, and it's like, hey, guess what? We won in the West against you guys, and we won when we were in the East against you guys, right? So it would just be the worst thing for Labor Day Banjo Bowl for the next 20 years. But other than that, it would be a great story. I don't think it's going to happen. But
crazier things have happened in the league, but yeah, I'm in the same boat as you are right now. If they make the playoffs, I think it might be a quick playoff series for the Rough Riders. Guess we'll find out soon enough. I'm just going to quickly run through the injury report here for the Alouettes and for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I see that they kind of messed up a little bit here, and they put Montreal Alouettes on the CFL page. But I think I can pick out who's on whose team. For the Ticats, some notables. Don Jackson, he's been a healthy scratch all week, which is a little bit surprising, I guess, for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, especially when you're saying they need to start running the ball because we're getting closer to winter here. Lamar Durant is doubtful for this game. Ankle injury, still got limited in practice. Javon Santos-Knox, again, limited on day 1. Did practice all day today, though, so he's probably going to end up going as well. Dylan Wynn is out, the big D lineman. Knee injury, did not practice here this week, so he will be out. Over on the Montreal side of the ball, Patrick Davis, an offensive lineman, again, mostly healthy scratches for the Montreal Alouettes because they did have the bye week last week. So they are probably a little bit more healthy going into this game. Tyrell Richards has a knee injury. That was a first-round pick, I believe, the first overall pick this year. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Couple of one other notable injury for the Montreal Alouettes, Philippe Gagnon, the big offensive lineman, back injury, didn't practice on Monday and Tuesday, was limited on Wednesday. I think he probably, if I would lean towards him not playing this week. The Montreal Alouettes, we've talked about the penalties all the time on this. We've gone into ad nauseum at that. Is there something does a player need to say something, or does the coach need to do this? What needs to happen to get rid of some of these penalties? Because very likely Montreal is going to go to a playoff game, and giving up 100 plus yards in penalties doesn't really go well for anybody, does it, Trey?
I mean, I can give up 100 yards of penalties on Madden and somehow win, but that's a little different, right? That's just all the roughing the passers because I hit stick. But in this game, no, you can't, man. Like, we're gonna beat the Saskatchewan drum, but look at what it does there. There's some teams in the NFL that just give up so many stupid penalties. And it's getting tense. We're going to talk about BC Calgary later. That game last week was tense. So I'm sure this one upcoming is going to be tense. There's going to be more chance for, the after whistle shenanigans. There's going to be more, passionate play and everything between the whistles. So you're getting to the time on, you know what I mean? You're getting to that time of the year where, the yards mean more and there's also going to be a lot more tension in the air, right? So I don't know what you do. I think I've never liked Daddy as much as maybe other people, that Machota, as other people maybe have. So I think the Kahari move was not the right one. So I feel maybe it's my Bomber bias, but I think Kahari might have been able to calm the room better than this guy. You know what I mean? Because it kind of looks like the hostile takeover where your boss's boss swoops in to try to save the day, and that might not be the right message to send. And then you trade away the guy who's been your guy, and now he got the win in a team that's going to go to the playoffs, right? So I don't know what to do with Montreal, man. It's tough.
Yeah, very tough to talk about indeed. I know that the BC Lions will be watching this game as well as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. There's some playoff scenarios to run through here. I'm just going to try to see if I can find those here before we move on. For me on this one, you're right. Danny Machocha, I think, was the guy that just I did like him in Edmonton, to be honest with you, too. He just didn't seem to have really a good control of the room to me. He's maybe a decent guy for talking to players and can speak to players well individually as a general manager. I don't know that side of the thing, but as a coach, it's got to come from within if you're going to stop penalties. After a while, the coaches just can't say anything to get that room to stop taking the penalties. I think you're seeing that in a certain team in green and white over further. After a while, it's got to be on the players. And it's just where somebody has to call out a guy and say, hey, why did you cost us 20 or 15 yards on this play? Or why did you give us a 10-yard hold? What's wrong? So to me, I think that's probably a issue going forward for the Montreal Alouettes. Again, it's been for a long time now, but I think it's going to come back and haunt them more and more as this season goes along. And hey, if the Ticats win this game, Hamilton's got the advantage all of a sudden and is in second place in the East. So it's not that it's that far away, but we'll see what happens here. Moving on, we'll go on to the next game here as I try to find those playoff playoffs situation scenarios.
I have them up here. So coming into the next game, it's interesting. If Toronto wins and Hamilton loses, they clinch a playoff spot, right? So
really?
Yeah, that's what it says. And then Hamilton and Ottawa both need to lose for BC to clinch. And if Ottawa loses with a Calgary win, BC and Calgary clinch. So the West playoffs are pretty sorted, that top three, right? And maybe a little bit of debate between second and third. And if Saskatchewan sneaks in, they are going to be the fourth or the third in the West, right? So it's playoff football, man. You know what I mean? It's every game's going to be playoff football here on out. There's not many other than Winnipeg and then Ottawa, Edmonton. Everyone's playing for something right now, right? So,
Yeah, no. I mean, everybody is trying to get a W some way, somehow, especially these teams at the kind of in the middle of the pack. They're clawing away and trying to make something happen here. Case in point is the Ottawa Redblacks, who won 2 games in a row and then went home, which for Ottawa, that's not a good thing. Unfortunately, TD Place Stadium has not been a very good place for them this week or this year, except for more of that. They're playing the Toronto Argonauts again at home. Toronto's coming off a bye week. Everything's kind of pointing towards Ottawa. But you know what? I actually was kind of reading some interesting stats today on this game. Toronto's defense, we've always said that it's pretty decent looking defense and that it's pretty good and everything else. Ottawa currently leads in forced fumbles per game. They're leading on passes defended per game against Toronto. And they're leading on sacks per game, which is kind of strange. You didn't expect probably to hear that. Is Ottawa's defense, are they just giving up that bad play at the wrong time? Or what's the story here, Trey?
I think it's just been the lack of production from their offense. You're right. Maybe they give up a bad play, but we see teams like Winnipeg, BC, Calgary they're the teams that are able to, if they give up 7, they'll go out and get 7. But some of these East teams don't quite have that same mentality, or not mentality, capability right now. I was high on Ottawa going into the year, right? I said they were going to be the West crossover because I was going to go on a hunch, but I don't know, man. Ottawa is another team where I know they're not officially out, but I think this is more of a game I'm looking at Toronto and I'm saying, okay, because if they lose this and they're another game close to 500, so are we going to have an East team, East Division winner be 9-9, or are we going to have one that's 10-8, 11-7, and if you looked at the Grey Cup odds, those probability things, they have Toronto have a higher chance of winning the Cup than Winnipeg, and I agree with that because Winnipeg's going to get, the week before is going to get a dogfight with either BC and Calgary, and you're thinking Toronto's either going to get a Saskatchewan team or a Montreal or Hamilton, and it should just be, kind of what happened last year with Toronto, and they just, what I mean? Like, they should just get on through. So Toronto's got a pretty looking good spot here, and I think they got to figure out what they're doing. And Bethel Thompson, man, like, for a team that no one in Toronto seems to care about, he's under the microscope constantly, it seems like, right? And it's just, God, he needs to do something, right? And we're looking at quarterbacks. There's guys in this league, where's Verdon Adams going to go in the offseason? Where's, is O'Connor going to be cool with being second string in BC? I know you hate him. I'm being like, again, is a Chris Streveler going to come back in? Is there going to be, does Pimkin want to go out and do something? Does someone like a Bombers backup like Prukop and what he's done this year, does he get a shot? There's a lot of teams in movement here. I think this is his time to really take it and go, and he hasn't done it yet, so I don't know.
He does it every second week. He hasn't been consistent, like you've been saying there. He has those good second halves that seem to kind of bail him out once every so often. Not saying he's a bad quarterback. He's actually had some fairly decent yards this year, and he has cut back a little bit on the interceptions, which was a big thing about McLeod Bethel Thompson earlier in the year. He was throwing so many turnovers up in the air. I mean, you thought it was a bakery just firing actual turnovers down the field. No reference to anybody from New Orleans. Anyways, I just look at him and say there's always pressure on Toronto. They seem to have a good quarterback and a guy that everybody's heard of. It seems to be their marketing plan almost in a way. That's why they had Ricky Ray there. He was a great quarterback. He was no one in the CFL, and hey, he took him to some great cups and won them for him. So congratulations, by the way, to Ricky Ray, who just made the Canadian Football Hall of Fame last week. But McLeod Bethel Thompson, it always seems like with him, they're always looking at the next guy, whether it be Chad Kelly, whether it was James Franklin last year. Somebody's always looking over, or McLeod Bethel Thompson seems to have to look over his shoulder quite a bit. Very interesting stat as well here in rushing yards. Andrew Harris has been gone for how long right now? I think by 4.
Oh no, did we lose Adam here? Adam.
Probably.
Yeah, you just cut out in and
nevertheless, 490 yards. He's the team leader in rushing yards right now. So very strange that he's the leader in rushing when he's been out for quite a while now. I don't know if Toronto's just abandoned the run game or if they're just I know that they're using Let a little bit differently. They're putting him out of the backfield and passing, but is that going to be successful when it comes to November football?
No, I don't think so. And I don't understand why why the teams are abandoning the run. Like, I don't get it at all. And I mean, like, is it American play calling? Like, I don't know. Is it American play calling and their idea? Like, oh, we only got 2 down, so we got to throw it all the time. Is it, I don't know what's going on with that. Right. And it's, because if you look at the other side, Devontae Williams doesn't even have as many yards as Harris does, right? There's no run game on either side.
And the crazy part about Devontae Williams is you got to remember you have a guy like William Powell somewhere also on that team.
Right. You know what I mean? And you've had a guy in like who's the Caleb Evans, who's a scrambling quarterback. Like, I'm surprised he hasn't raked up more yards than that before he got benched. So it's definitely Ottawa, man, one of those teams. They're gonna have to really redo some things, I think, this offseason, either coaching, roster, everything. And like I said, we're talking about the quarterbacks. Is Zach Arbuckle safe? Does he want to stay in Ottawa? Is a guy like Caleb Evans going to get a shot somewhere else? And these are the games you need to use to prove that, right? So, we'll see what happens after that.
Absolutely. I think another one that they have to look at is, does Devontae Dedmon want to stick around in Ottawa when these teams are suffering already in Ottawa? That being said, he might. Maybe Nick Arbuckle is their future. He has had some decent games now that he came back to the nation's capital, but I think that they need some changes in Ottawa first. They need some changes in the coaching or the mentality or the strategy of the game before you can really start looking at a lot of different players and see what that new coach or that new offensive coordinator or whatever they decide to do in Ottawa decides what to do then. Then maybe we'll see a little bit of a change out of the Ottawa Redblacks. Really, the only thing that's been solid for them this year, and Trey, you could probably talk about it a little bit, was Jalen Acklin. We thought that he wasn't really doing a whole lot this year. He's already at 1,025 yards.
Yeah, he's kind of snuck up the last few weeks, I feel like. He was a guy that our buddy Ryan always seemed to highlight early on for fantasy, and then he kind of went away, and we've not really talked about him, but he snuck his way back up into the higher rankings here. Let's just take a quick look at the player stats overall. Who has the league lead right now? That's an interesting question. Jalen Acklin leads the league in yards. There's my answer, right? And there's only two guys over 1,000 right now, and the other guy is Dominique Grimes, who's had, a guy like Rourke who throws 400 yards a game throwing to him. And then next after that's just shy of 1,000 and Dalton Schoen, who's rookie of the year and has also played two more games than Jalen Acklin and Dominique Grimes, right? So, yeah, that's crazy, and they need to use that. But the thing is about the pass game, it only works when you have a run game too, right? You got to open things up. And I know the CFL field's wide and big, but you still got to use it. There's Adam. There we go. Okay. I was like, I'm running out of talking to myself here. I need you back.
You do a good monologue, Trey. I think one of the best in the whole CFL podcast network. We'll go with that.
I'll take it. I'll take any accolades I can get.
Well, hey, the monologue is an important thing of early morning news, I suppose, or late night news. So, hey, you know what? We're going to move on to the next game here. It's the third game of the week, and it's a Saturday night. The Calgary Stampeders are going to go and have a little bit of a bar. Well, no, we can't say a brawl, I guess. Or can we? We're by ourselves tonight. This is going to be a good old-fashioned slugfest, I think, against the Calgary Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This should be a really interesting one. Richard in the chat, a known Lions fan. Good evening to you, too. First things first, 1-game suspension for Cam Judge after throwing a punch to Lucky Whitehead. We're not sure what was said. We don't know what happened, what caused a punch to be thrown, and what caused the melee afterwards that BC decided to go and visit the Calgary Stampeders locker room or vice versa, or however it went. All we know is there's a 1-game suspension. Cam Judge has decided not to appeal that, so he'll serve a suspension this week. Trey, what's your thoughts on all this, or am I missing something here, or is that straightforward?
Nah, man, all I can picture is the scene from Cool Runnings when they start a fight in the Calgary bar there against the Russians or whatever it was, right? That's probably what was. And then, hearing things happen in the parking lot after, okay, from a league standpoint here, I'm surprised. So the punch was on the field after the game, and then there was chatter on the parking lot after. Is that what happened? From my understanding, right? So the punch, 1 game for that. I'm surprised guys didn't get more from the parking lot thing, because that's up there with the Toronto Hamilton in the playoffs kind of thing. I don't like that. And that's that thing where we talk about is CFL Bush League. You know what I mean? Like, could you imagine if it was like, New Orleans and Tampa Bay, they had a fist fight this weekend. Do you think they're fighting in the parking lot? Well, if they are, the NFL would have that under wraps so quick, right? They would not let that be out until TMZ got their hands on the video or something, right? Like, that would be catastrophic. But then the CFL is like, well, it's Calgary and BC. Like, I don't know. It's the 1 game for the punch, probably fine. I'm interested again in what Lucky said. I don't know if I would suspend him, but again, it's always the guy who comes second, right? It's never the first guy. It's always the guy who comes second after seems to get dinged more. It's like that in hockey. It's like that in football, right? So it's. I'm not surprised he got one, but what did Lucky say? And then and again, I'm not comparing it, but I heard some things on Twitter that it wasn't nice comments where we already had a guy get a suspension for saying heritage insensitive comments. So you got to keep it even if the guy is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm reading what Richard says. I don't know what's were guys released? I never heard anybody getting released from Calgary or BC. I've heard the Bombers picked up a couple O linemen or something, and then I haven't heard much elsewhere for anything. So I don't know. It's just, to me, it's so dumb. Like, you know what I mean? Why are you fighting in the parking lot? Like, oh, meet me at the flagpole, right? Like, that's what it seems like.
Yeah, exactly. And no, I agree 100% with you. It's push. You don't go and try to go and take your locker room and go and try to. It happens in just the backwoods and what we want to be compared to something other than a bush league. Let that be done in the XFL or in the USFL. Let's face it, the XFL would probably sell it to pay-per-view or put it on the WWE network for $9.99 a month. So you know what? We don't need any of that in the CFL. If there was a punch being thrown before the half or after the game or something like that, it should be dealt with. I agree 100% with a one-game suspension on Chem Judge. Richard in the chat said it was something about family. If it was, well, that shouldn't be said either. You can't go and start bringing up people's family or stuff going on. That's just not acceptable as well. I'm sure that people do it all the time when they're trash talking on in the game. Ref, throw a flag. Just get it settled before this ends up becoming top headline news that there was a brawl in the parking lot, because we don't need that anywhere. Essentially,
this reminds me. Didn't Tortorella follow a team into their locker room yelling at him one time in the NHL or something?
Back in the 80s, I remember that one where the guy is yelling at a referee while
have another donut.
Have another donut.
Yeah. That's PSN top 10 gold right there. Torts and the donut comment of after game altercations, right? And that's all I could think of, right? Like, why is Torts going in there and why are they fighting in the parking lot? You know what I mean? And
exactly. So Chris, you were at the game, I guess. Yeah, you want to tell us more about it? If you see something or anything, I mean, by all means, we'll take your comments anywhere here. And if you have any other comments about anything going on tonight, we're definitely reading about here and looking at it, because we're the new guys. We read anything, apparently.
Yeah, there was a new Call of Duty beta dropped. Got a new Star Wars show. There's a couple things we could talk about. NFL fantasy. I am 1-0 this year. You want to talk about NFL betting, horse racing, harvest stuff? How's the harvest going, man? Is it going good today, or rain, or what? It's been raining here today.
Yeah, well, it showered here yesterday, and today we went and swathed a little bit, but no, it'll be a couple days till we probably get combining again. I know over at where I work, it's going to be busy here this week. They're introducing the first electric vehicle out in this country, so that'll be kind of cool. Harvest itself, it's going pretty good. So, but yeah, keep always asking us questions here or anything of the sort. Chris, you're saying Andor? I'm not sure what.
That's the new Star Wars show, is Andor.
Oh, Andor. Okay.
Yeah, Andor. And the beta loved it. He maxed out, buddy. I would have, but my game was glitching, so it wouldn't let me max out. Beta games, it wasn't working right. But man, the new Call of Duty, I loved it. I only watched one episode of Andor. All I gotta say, without wrecking it, first 5 minutes, you're in a Star Wars brothel, and I'm like, it got a little Game of Thronesy early, and then it went back to Disney, right? So
I thought maybe they were going for HBO Max or something here. But
I only watched one episode of the 3 that dropped. That's on my to-do list when we wrap this up, hopefully in 20 minutes. Watch the next episode or two. So
absolutely. So Richard, you're saying swathing. Well, yeah, the crop that I've got left that was standing is hulless barley. It wasn't drying out. It was sitting there green. So finally today I said, you know what, we'll just swath it down. It was only about 25 acres. So we got that swath down. That'll be drying now here as we're working on canola. And hopefully in 4 or 5 days I can say we're done. And go from there. So Chris over the chat, he's asking what you're playing on. I think it's a PlayStation, right, Trey?
Yeah, PS5, man. I got PS4 too, but yeah, PlayStations.
Okay,
I never got into Xbox. I was really close when PlayStation got hacked years ago and you couldn't have online for almost like a year or something. So I almost did it, but I just hate the controller. I can't stand the Xbox controller. People tell me it's better. I'm sure it is. I just got my hands used to the PlayStation one, right? So
and I'm the opposite. I can't stand a PlayStation controller. An Xbox controller for me just feels so comfortable. So just a little bit weird. But Richard's asking if we mill our own grain. No, we don't. We haul it into the hog barn for that hulless barley. Wheat goes obviously to the elevator to go into your favorite bread or whatever you'd like. And canola gets crushed over here at the local facility. And becomes canola oil. So you can have all your deep fried goodness for your football games, like your fries and all that good stuff. So anyway, I guess we should get back to the CFL here for a moment. BC Lions, I think, looks like they're getting a little more comfortable here with Vernon Adams in there. And didn't have the best of game, but he didn't have a terrible game here also against the Calgary Stampeders. What's your thoughts on Vernon Adams, Trey?
I like what I saw. You know what I mean? And now he's obviously got different talent around him than Montreal. So, you were expecting to have good results. Again, my mind is so bad. I'm already set in the playoffs. I'm in this whole, it's pretty much set-ish in the West. Again, maybe Calgary or BC switch places. So I'm all thinking next year, where's Vernon Adams going to go? Right? I made that point, and this is his time to show it. I'm thinking it's going to be Rourke's team. I don't think they'll let him go unless his injury is really bad. Who would you go with? Would Vernon Adams want to be second fiddle and then you get rid of O'Connor? Does O'Connor have a 2-year contract? So Vernon Adams doesn't, you got Pimpkin in there too. There's a mess there and teams need quarterbacks and, I don't know, so he's playing for his career here and a team that he just beat last week with playoff mentality and excitement. And now they're back at home and man, I don't think it's going to happen, but if I'm Vernon Adams, I'm playing every down as if this is me telling you why you should keep me over MOP Nathan Rourke, Hall of Fame. Ryan's a Hall of Famer, Nathan Rourke, right? And he's not going to beat him out, but he's got to take every minute to do that, right? And hopefully that's what I'm going to take BC in this game. I'm feeling they're going to get the back-to-back. Maybe Calgary will get a little bit of revenge because, they're the one that got hit by the suspension thing a little bit more, but I don't know. I'm feeling BC right now,
All I know is this game is going to be just very fun to watch because of all the stuff that happened in the last game. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in there. I know BC does have the season series already on the Calgary Stampeders. They won 41-40 in the first one. Last week, I believe it was 31-29. So very close games. But Calgary, unfortunately, can't catch BC at this point. And the other thing also is they're 2 games ahead of BC, although BC also has games at hand against Calgary. So very likely that you're going to see the BC Lions take that second place in the West. Could still be getting interesting, though, if Calgary loses this one and the Riders in Calgary have 2 games to play yet. So, hey, you never know, but I just don't see it happening for either for Saskatchewan. But, hey, you never know. I think it's going to happen. We're always there. So Richard over in the chat, he enjoys our hard work regularly. Thank you very much, Richard. I know all the farmers are all working hard to try to get some of the crop off. It's been a little bit of a grind, especially in Manitoba. They're a little bit behind over there. So hopefully all the farmers out there, good luck, and hopefully you're doing well. Richard also says, I'm with you. It's going to be fun to watch. He's referring to the new Star Wars show. And if BC wins, the race for first place is on. If BC wins, I guess, this game here, he's thinking they can still catch the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And you know what? There's only one game in between them, but Winnipeg does have that season series on the BC Lions as well.
Well, that's interesting because they got, like you said, 2 games in hand, but they're down 3 and they play twice, right? So it's, I don't know. I don't know. And then Mike's been saying for weeks now, he's like, or they're going to win those 2 games. I think Mike was saying BC's going to win those 2 games because Winnipeg's going to be resting. Well, are they going to be resting if BC's right on Winnipeg's ass for first? You know what I mean? That's what, yeah. I agree with Richard. They have the mathematical chance. They got a lot of good things going on. It's just that whole thing. You know what I mean? It's I don't know. I give Calgary a better chance making the playoffs than BC getting first. If you're making me give odds, but I guess it's possible.
And the other thing is, you're right, Richard, over in the chat. He says that they play 2 more times, BC, right now. They do have the extra game in hand right now, but they got to make it count. So, to me, I could see it, but I don't see Winnipeg losing too many either. So, going into this next little bit, I think Winnipeg has Saskatchewan. I think it's also Ottawa. They got once more. And maybe Toronto, if I'm not mistaken, they go out to Toronto.
No, they got 4 more games. They got Saskatchewan and then Edmonton and then the 2 against BC.
They don't have 2 against BC yet.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Really?
They have BC bye and BC.
Huh. Okay. So they play 4 times this year against BC.
Yeah, I think you have to play a team in the once 4 times, I think, with the new schedule.
Fun. Okay. So anyways, they're going to play the BC Lions, I guess, quite a bit here coming up.
Good chance we're going to see them in November, right? So it's going to be 5 times. That's crazy in football. Seeing a team 5 times. We could talk about division. I miss the old schedule. I understand they're trying to cut down on travel, but I think you should face every team twice, home and home, right? And then if baseball can do it, right? I mean, if baseball now is going to have a series against every team every year, you
always want to see every team, right? I mean, to me, I want to see the Philadelphia Phillies and the Toronto Blue Jays go at it. They always do, usually, but like all those teams, you want to see them play once in a while. On a side note, for those guys that are wondering, top of the 10th, 1 out. We are in extra innings, 2 on for the Toronto Blue Jays at the moment. Getting a little bit nervous there, Trey.
You know what? They got like a 3 or 4 game lead on the wild card, though. I don't think they're going to catch the Yankees. So I think they're pretty good on where they are. And I think they got a series against Tampa. And I think Tampa had some issues in their clubhouse. I'm hearing players are yelling at each other at the end of last game. So they're coming into Tropicana. They're the worst stadium in MLB. Had a good time, or I don't know, maybe they're home, but still, they're playing Tampa at the right time. So I don't know. I'm excited for October baseball. The last time the Jays went on the run, 2015, 2016 there, that's probably some of the best sports. That's up there with the Raptors run, right? Just the best Canadian sports. We haven't had many hockey teams go super, super, super deep as of late. So
I think what was the last one? Vancouver, I guess, was the last one.
Vancouver was the last one to go to the Cup, and then I know the Jets were in the West Conference. You know what I mean? Like no one, you know what I mean? That they're not getting better. So I'd love to see some Jays playoffs. I'm not sure what the Raptors are going to be like this year, and you never know when the Maple Leafs are never going to win the Stanley Cup, man. Like don't give me that. Don't give me that, man.
I can't wait to see their milk sponsor show up there. And if they put 2% into the game, they'll probably really get burned about that one. So
we're like a month away from the season, and I'm sick of Toronto already. Like it's just
they're intolerant. It's intolerable listening to Toronto fans.
They're the Cowboys. You know, it's just horrific.
Anyway. Well, are they still on the Shadow Plan, or what is it now? I don't know.
And then the what?
They still do the Shadow Plan out in Toronto, or they got somebody else?
I have no idea.
All I know is Austin Matthews had to step out today and everyone say, hey, you know what? Maybe you guys should just calm it down. I like Toronto. I'm going to stay in Toronto because the media is going crazy already, and it hasn't even started for negotiations between Austin Matthews and the Maple Leafs. So, anyways.
I like this. I just want to add this. Eric the intern. We have an intern now. That's how big this show's gotten. Eric the intern in the private chat. Toronto Sports Network, right? That's what it is. And it's always going to be like that. So I love our show is big enough to have an intern. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, I know. It's great. I mean,
but double, Eric, double. Anyway.
Exactly. You got to send it remotely as well. So I might have a cold coffee by the time it gets here. Anyway, we're going to move on here to fantasy options for this week. First things first, I do have to run through who we're facing this week, I suppose. So give me 1 minute while I grab that there. Trey, do you know who you got?
Oh, man, I was doing so good in this league, and then I just fell off, and, I've stopped caring a little bit. It's so bad. I got into NFL a little bit. Now I'm all over the NFL, and I'm all over our podcast one because I'm catching you. I'm catching you, man. Right. So,
if you catch me, that means I get the first overall pick. So take your
one more year till Curtis Rourke, man. It's okay. There's no Bedard. No Bedard.
Absolutely. So, hey, you know what? Richard in the chat was saying what are we asking here, Richard? Schoen and Hatcher. Schoen is probably going to be rookie of the year. I mean, who else is there? Keon Hatcher? What's that about? I'm sorry.
Fantasy maybe because you can't put Schoen in. They're on the bye, so this is the first time I couldn't put Schoen in a while. So I really had to I had to really reconfigure my fantasy lineup this week. Not having the Blue Bombers going and
yeah, no, for sure. Like I say, it's going to be weird for me too because I got a lot of Rough Riders on our own personal CFC fantasy one. It's going to hurt to try to get him in somehow. Try to get some players here. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to have to make some trades and pick up some players, and we'll go from there. You're playing this week, Saf Ahmad over from the Piffles podcast. He's actually 6-8 right now, so you can just about eliminate him if you can win this one, Trey. And I should add that you're still in a playoff spot. So that's cool.
I know I'm in the 8th and final spot, man. But I got the bye next week, so it's not my destiny's not in my own hands.
Ryan is still playing on there. He is playing probably one of the weaker opponents this year in the Wood Cookie Sawcast. Those guys there haven't had a good year on this, but they're looking to play spoiler right now and just mess with Ryan a little bit, I would think. And also we've got myself, where I'm going to be up against the X's and Argos, who are 10-4 this week. I'm 8-6, and again, if I win, I'm in the playoffs, baby. So we're doing pretty good there. Trey, let's move on to the fantasy part of it. First things first is quarterback. Do you got any picks for this week, or what are you thinking when you go to quarterback?
What if 3 games? You got 6 guys you could potentially do, I guess, unless you go the crazy, second and inch guy thinking he's going to pick up a bunch of touchdowns. So it's really, you got slim pickings here, right? My 2 thoughts, he's pretty expensive. Dane Evans, he came off a big game last week against the Blue Bombers and now goes into a division matchup that we're saying is going to pretty much could be a playoff game, again in a month, or this pretty much a early season wildcard game here. Or I'm going to go with Vernon Adams, a little bit cheaper. I liked what he did last week. I think he'll pick up a little bit more on the ground than Dane Evans would. So I'm leaning towards Vernon Adams. But if I maybe switch to Dane Evans, maybe Bethel Thompson. I don't know. You know what I mean? But I'm not thinking Arbuckle or Caleb Evans this week. I'm not thinking I don't know, maybe Mayer. Like I would stick to the BC Calgary game more, but I don't know, man. I think VA.
Yeah, I'm debating this one too here. I'm going to give you Ryan's answers right now. He's got 2 guys that he likes this week. Jake Mayer is one of them, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception in the 4 starts. Has hovered near 300 yards in 3 of those as well. Had a pretty good game also against the BC Lions last week, so that's a good thing here. And the other guy he has is Vernon Adams Jr. Still super cheap. He puts up 15 points last week without scoring a touchdown. Now he goes back-to-back games without one, so he should score a little bit more this week. He also said that he doesn't trust Dane Evans. He had 1 good game so far here, and to put him on the most expensive quarterback this week, kind of crazy. And I can't blame him. That makes sense. And then also, don't have really a problem with the other quarterbacks. Just he likes Jake Mayer and Vernon Adams just a little more at similar prices. To me, I think I like McLeod Bethel Thompson. And the reason being is he's playing Ottawa in Ottawa. And that could be a very interesting pick. Also, he usually does produce quite a few points. And if I'm not mistaken, nobody's behind him running a ball on short yardage plays, like if it's 1st and goal from the 1. So myself, I'm probably going to lock in McLeod Bethel Thompson and go from there. So moving on to running backs, Trey, I'm gonna go. I'll go first here, I guess. If this thing lets me go back to see my running backs, I would like to take a more expensive one this week. James Butler had a good week last week. I don't think he's gonna have a good week this week. I took a chance last week of him, and it did work for me, but I don't know if I want to try that twice. Looking at Kadeem Carey, he usually on average has pretty good games against the BC Lions. The only thing that concerns me a little bit about that is how much do they actually also play the other running back in Calgary with Peyton Logan. So I'm debating which one to go with here. I'm probably going to pick a Calgary running back. And on the other side of the football, I don't know who I want to pick as my second one right now. Trey, what do you got for ideas?
Well, first, I just have to show this. This is this awesome cookie for the people on YouTube. Look at that football cookie. That's so cool. Thanks, baby. My girl. Yeah. Anyway, I'm probably going to go with Ouellette. I've been going with him last few weeks. I don't know why. I'm just thinking maybe he'll pick up some yards on the passing game. The running backs in the CFL are so crazy. Unless you get that guy, running backs are the hard one in fantasy. You can't, unless you got like Derrick Henry or something like that in the NFL, you're not going to get nothing, or Andrew Harrison is prime, or you need a guy like that. This week, I got Logan Payton as my other guy. I'm not too sure. I have to check depth charts and stuff when things come out. My running backs are fluid at the moment. I just put those two guys in to see what my salary would be like. One guy's Ouellette's 5,800 and Logan Payton's 6,700. So trying not to spend too much there.
Yeah, it's very tough not to spend a pile of money when you get into the running backs, and especially right now when they're all around that 6 up to 9,000 for Kadeem Carey. So very expensive running backs this week. When Ryan sent his in, he was thinking maybe Devontae Williams. He surprisingly has a second highest last 3-game average behind Kadeem Carey among all starters this week. Has also been producing slightly above his price point. So, hey, that might not be a bad option for the guys that want to take Devontae Williams. $4,854, not a bad price. He did mention A.J. Ouellette as well. Lack of the run game usage is a bit troubling for him, but he does make up for it in the past. It could be an option. Another one also would be Wes Hills. If he's the starter, he does like him as a cheap value play. Only needs a handful of yards and a few catches, and Ryan thinks he's capable of it. Might not be a bad pick as well, depending what you think if Hamilton's gained some confidence. A big win last week. Next one we're going to go with is the receivers here. Trey, I'm going to let you go here first. And what are you thinking on wide receivers? Who's your guys this week? And remember, you can't take Dalton Schoen. Yeah,
I know. Well, I got Keon Hatcher. So, Richard, there you go. You were right once. 1 for 2 on that. I'm going to go with Javon Katoy as well. I think the Calgary BC game might turn into like a slugfest where, you could see guys like the quarterbacks get 300-400 yards. We're going to see some big passes, maybe some big rushing plays. So I think that's the game I'm more focused on this week when there's only the few going on. And then my flex guy, Devarius Daniels, I think I have him on my other fantasy team, and he's been picking me up some points. So, Katoy, Hatcher, and Daniels. Adam, you there, buddy? What do you got?
Yeah, no, I'm here. The guys that I'm looking at right now, I'm not sure if I'm just going to take a flyer on it, but I'm looking at Darvin Adams, $5,578, playing a Toronto defense that doesn't let an odd long ball get through him. He might not be a bad pick. He also had a good game against Toronto here when they played earlier this season. Another guy possibly to look at, Keon Hatcher, like you said before. I just don't know about Vernon Adams getting everybody involved in this offense right away. He might, but I don't know about that. Malik Henry is always a good choice. It seems like Jake Mayer and him have always got that one big play every game. It seems like a very good choice as well. And depending on who I think is going to do better in the Hamilton-Montreal game, I might look at Pappy White. Has been a very cheap option here. He knows how he does have a little bit of chemistry with Dane Evans, and Ryan also had him picked here. He doesn't want to risk paying so much for Tim White. So might not be a bad option as well as a more value play for Pappy White here. Another couple guys that Ryan wanted to mention. Malik Henry / Reggie Bagleton. I think that one's pretty straightforward. Reggie Bagleton is a safer play as he's consistent for a handful of catches, but Malik Henry does have those big plays once every so often, and lately it's been pretty much one a game. Tim White, he said, it's just he's overpriced is what he's thinking, but he's been a clear go-to also for Dane Evans. If you think Dane Evans is going to be having a good week this week, might not be a bad option to look at Tim White. He also mentioned Nate Mahar. He's pretty consistent on hitting near his value every play, over 13 points in 4 of his last 6 games. So that wouldn't be a bad one as well. And DeMonte Coxey was another one that he also mentioned. Dirt cheap value play that can put up 3 straight games with at least 3 catches and 30 yards. Pretty likely to hit his full value. If you're looking for somebody like that, might not be a bad option to take a look at DeMonte Coxey. Moving on to the defenses here, Trey. I mean, you got burned a little bit with a certain team last week. And if you want to take them this week, I mean, by all means. I don't know how much it would help you, but I mean, you can try. I'm going to run through Ryan's here real quick first, if that's okay. He's looking at Toronto. They're hit and miss. That's Toronto. That's been like that all year. When they hit big time. I like taking a chance against a still iffy Ottawa team. Can't argue with that. Ottawa is kind of iffy. And they're at home, so oddly enough, you usually don't get to say that. With Ottawa, you do. Hamilton was another option that he was considering, putting up over 10 points in each of the last 2 games against Winnipeg and Toronto. Perhaps they have their mojo back. Well, I mean, to me, I hope they don't, but yeah, okay. And also the other one was Montreal. They're an underrated defense facing Dane Evans, who's consistently, been inconsistent and turned over the ball a ton. So could be one of those that there is a chance of Dane Evans, after one game coming back and being dominant, might go back to his old ways. So he's looking at that as well. Trey, who are you thinking for defense?
I'm staying away from Calgary, BC, because I think that's going to be, I could see that one being a 40-40 game, and then your defense are going to have negative points and stuff. But I'm thinking Toronto. I like what Ryan's saying. They're going into Ottawa, who's just as bad at home as Edmonton is, and and I like that one. And then again, you got the Montreal Hamilton game. It's going to be that playoff mentality game where you could see you could see Dane Evans who's his Harris go off. You could see that, or you could see them each throw 10 interceptions combined. So that's another one I kind of would stay away from. And Richard in the chat, yeah, I'm predictable, man. I just do that. CFL fantasy eludes me a little bit. It's still, I'm a baby fawn, walking for the first time a little bit here on CFL fantasy. NFL fantasy, okay, I had the 2 best receivers in week 2 on my team. So I think I'm doing, or 2 of the best receivers on my team, Jalen Waddle and Stephon Diggs. So, I'm okay there. But CFL, I have no idea, man. But let's go with the Boatman.
It's tough this week because, like you said a lot of times in the chat here, the East teams are very, very, very unpredictable. And they're all playing each other this week. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here. I really do like Toronto as well, just because, again, they're playing Ottawa. Ottawa could be good. They could be bad. They could be terrible. They could be great. I don't know what Ottawa is. I would like to probably take Montreal maybe for a flyer as well, because I don't think Dane Evans has 2 in him like that game against Winnipeg. He had one really good one. He wanted to get a monkey off his back because Winnipeg kind of pretty much said that they're the owner of him during Grey Cup games. So I can see why he had a good game. I don't know if that's consistent, though. If he wins big this week, look out. Here comes the Ticats are humming. I'm sure somebody in the Arkells is going to phone me about that comment. Anyways, moving on here, if there's anything else to run through here, Trey, or I'm just taking a look here in the chat. Richard said it's really hard to pick a reliable defense. 100% agree with you. I don't mind BC, but again, they're playing Calgary. That's going to be a very, very iffy game. Like, for one team is going to probably, my thought is Calgary is going to come out and want this one a little bit more just because they want to play and show that they, even if the camp judges there, they might want to play as a team together. So it could be that too. But it's hard to say, and I'm just going to stay away from defenses on that one. But yeah, Toronto's probably going to be my pick right now. We'll see how the week progresses here. Trey, I think we're moving on to your favorite segment of the week. CFL betting.
For sure. Yeah, this is our betting segment here, powered by our friends at Betstamp. Betstamp is a free app that helps you find the best value for your online sports betting wager, providing comparison odds across a variety of different sports books, including the Betstamp recommended best odds, which we'll be using for our CFL picks against the spread here today. Learn more at Betstamp and sign up for referral code CFC. Oh, man, but don't remember, real quick, keep it a game. You don't want, but here it is, 1-800-522-4700, gambling addiction helpline. Say my name, I might get a mug. So, keep it, but keep it a game. So let's go over the first game of the week here. What is the first game? Yeah, Hamilton, Montreal. Real quick. Beyond the grave here, Ryan gave us his picks to throw out here. So I'll start with his. He's going, where did I just had him. I think he's going Montreal. Yeah, Montreal -2.5. I'm going to agree with them on that one. I'm liking Montreal a little bit better than Hamilton. Adam, the consensus is made. Are we going all the way or not?
Yours was Hamilton, correct?
Sorry?
You're going with Hamilton?
No, me and Ryan are both going with Montreal. Did I say Hamilton? I might have said Hamilton, but I meant Montreal.
Sorry, I'm half deaf this evening. Anyways, I'm looking at probably Montreal as well. They're playing at home. Dane Evans is going to Dane Evans. I just don't have any confidence. Give me an extra game with him. Give me 2 games that he just dominates, and I'll start picking Hamilton a lot more, and you'll see him come up on my power rankings. But you got to have 2 games of that, and that's going to be very tough against a team that has really kind of been up and down. Depending on, I guess, the penalties, I think Montreal, it'd be very interesting what the number would be for a prop bet on the Montreal Alouettes for number of yards for penalties. I think the number of what would you think? Under 100 or over 100, Trey?
For Montreal, I'll go over. Over and penalty yards combined over 180. I'd go over too, maybe, something like that. I could see this being messy. Like I said, playoff intensity, right? So it could be, but the refs might let it go. You know what I mean? You never know too, right? So, I mean, CFL refs let it go. Yeah, that doesn't sound like them. But yeah, a rare time, we've all agreed to start off the day. So let's move on to the first of the Saturday doubleheader. And that would be Toronto at Ottawa. Again, I'm going to go with the -2 with Toronto at Coolbet there, 1.191. I'm just not feeling Ottawa at home. It's you get 3 points for being at home usually. So if this game was in Toronto, what it would be like? If it was neutral field, it'd be
-5.
Yeah, it's going to be -5. And then if it's it would just be insane. So I'm going to go with Toronto. Ryan also goes with Toronto -2. Adam, we'll leave it up to you. Or the consensus pick is made. What do you think?
To be honest, I think you guys are dead on. I don't see Ottawa. It's an Ottawa game at home. Is there anything else I need to say? It's been bad for Ottawa there. Been tough. It's really been ugly for the Ottawa Redblacks at home. I don't see Nick Arbuckle having a great day, and I also could see Toronto trying to prep and get ready for a playoff game, which they will host after winning this one. Give me the Toronto Argonauts.
I am sorry if we can hear my 6-month-old's crying in the background. So that might be heard, but I don't know what can be heard. But real quick, let's look at the chat here. Some guys talking about some school. I'm in school right now, so I do feel the pain. I asked for my first extension on an assignment already, so I understand I understand that. So it's crazy. But anyway, let's move on to the finale of the week.
Shout out, as you move on to the next slide there, shout out to Chris. I mean, you know what? If you're going to school and you're 36, you know what? It's not easy. Good on you for going back and getting whatever you're needing to get for a degree or for a diploma or whatever you're looking to do. Just good on you that you're good for that and that you're going in there for those. I know I went to school or college right after I went to high school. So, I mean, I was there for 2 years and I came home to farm. So, kind of a little weird, but, it's probably made myself look awful old all of a sudden. So, Trey, let's move on to this next.
I get it because I'm not 36, Richard, but I'm 20. Geez, my birthday 27 next week. But I got 3 kids, and I went back to school too. I did go at 18 at the U of M, but then when you turn 18 and you realize, oh, they let you in bars at 18. So sometimes that took over a little bit there, and then coming back now when I'm wiser and more mature, and it's fun. It's fun saying like when people are complaining about like the 19-year-old, 20-year-olds like, oh, I didn't have time to do my homework this weekend. And I'm like, I finished that paper in an hour and I burped the baby and I played video games with my 7 and 4. Like, what are you talking about? But anyway, let's move on here. You know what? We're just going to go with it again. Me and Ryan both agree. BC -1.5. Cool Bet's the best odds there. I like Cool Bet. That's the one I use. But again, look at the Betstamp app. You got Bet99, Tony Bet, I know Play Now's not on Betstamp, but it's an app in Manitoba. There's a lot of things you can do. Make sure you pick out your best odds. Adam, are we going to go probably the first time all year and agree on all games?
Oh, I was debating this one all day while sitting there and swathing. I like Calgary in a way because they have been good road teams. They seem to pull it off somehow here. And really do have a kind of an interesting little bit that they're going to be playing without Cam Judge, which hurts them a little bit. But they also can rally around this game and say, okay, we're going to show Lucky Whitehead that he ain't getting nothing this week. So there's a reason why I don't think any of us picked him in fantasy, just because I'm worried if something happens there against BC or against Calgary that he may be gone early in this game. You know what? Give me the BC Lions right now. At 1.5. I'm going to make it a consensus right now. I think that this game is going to be awful close like it's been all year. I just don't know if BC can beat Calgary 3 times in a row this year. So that's what's bugging me as well. We'll see what happens here in the week. But unless there's a drastic injury or something else, I'll go with the BC Lions.
Man, it's got a feel for Rich. 3 kids under 8. So do I, man. Twinsies there. Except for, I did the math. When my youngest is 18, I'll be 44. And I think my oldest, I'll be 37 or something like that. So early retirement in my home for sure. Once they're out at 44, that's when my life will begin again, right? So, but yeah, we all agree. I don't know how much we can actually say that this year. I feel like you and Ryan seem to gang up a little bit more, and then, but I don't have the stats in front of me. I think you're at 500, right? And then Ryan's a couple games above that, and I think I'm a little bit above that. So still a lot of season left. We're all making money, pretty much. You're about even, but we're all making money, minus the bookies cut, right, Adam? But other than that, we're looking good. So yeah, are we ready for the wrap up, or is there anything else you want to add?
You know what? I think we could run to the wrap up and then we'll visit with the chat here for a few minutes and then move from there. Richard over in the chat, he's 42, got 3 kids under 8. Also has a university degree that he don't use because he's a bricklayer. Hey, bricklayers are awesome jobs as well. I know a few guys around here that, geez, I could use a bricklayer at the moment for some stuff over on the farm. And Richard also in the chat says, you think, Trey, that your kids are leaving the house at 18?
No, but I can at least go on vacation for 2 weeks, and I don't care if I leave the 18-year-old at home, right, or a 16-year-old. But right now, when they're 7 and 4 and 6 months, I kind of got to bring them, right?
They left the 26-year-old and the 34-year-old out this week with the mic so on. The what do you call our podcast parents are very irresponsible, probably. But hey, they need a break too. Glad we can do this with you guys here as well. Trey, let's do some wrap up here. What do you got, or what do we got?
We're going to wrap things up here. Let's take a little looky, see what's coming up next. Since we got some older people in the group chat, we all know what a TV guide is, right? So let's take a look at our TV guide here for the show. Week 16 recap, Monday, 9 p.m. I'm surprised I know what a TV guide is, but I grew up with my grandparents, man. So, yeah, we had those always. And phone books.
We had a TV guide on the farm. We only had 2 channels, so why?
I can't remember. I mentioned to somebody, I was like, I wasn't old enough for this, but I remember CBC always having Disney on Sunday nights, and they're like, you weren't old enough for that? And I was like, not really. Like, it kind of stopped. But anyway, back to jeez, I want to watch Disney now. I'm going to watch some more Andor later. But 9:00 Monday night, when Monday Night Football slowing down, you're tired of listening to Peyton and Eli talk, come check us out, 9 p.m. Winnipeg time, 8 p.m. Saskatchewan. That's going to change soon. When does that time change? October?
I think sometime in October here. And don't forget also, we got to have this place cleaned up pretty soon because Mike takes back over on Monday.
Right, Mike. Mike will be back. Great, then we don't have someone else to talk. And I won't be here Monday. But I think Adam and Mike will take care of that. Then next Wednesday, hit the slide button on the projector. Thank you. Wednesday, that's my birthday, September 28th. I'll be 27 years young. I'm going to spend it with hopefully Rich, Chris, Adam, Mike, whoever's here, right? So, have a good time. Again, 9 p.m. Manitoba. And 8 for the Gap. And you can catch us all. Oh, sorry. Was
we prefer the name Saskatchewan.
Closing time at the Gap. No, you can catch all of us every week. You could see us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. I tried Twitch. I can never get my PlayStation connected to it. If I game and I live stream, it's on my YouTube. And don't forget the Game Time TV YouTube page. Our sponsor, one of our sponsors with Betstamp, so all thanks. They're all made possible. Thank you to our sponsor, Game Time TV. You can learn more about them at watch.gametv.ca or go on Facebook and use that fancy search bar and just type in the name Game Time TV for them. Here's our Twitters up on the thing, the podcast CF Countdown. That's usually and Ryan there at Cooper Trooper. It's kind of I don't know. Does he have a mysterious thing where he pretends to be 2 people, or is it well known that he's both? Oh, I just spilled the beans anyway.
I don't know. The mysterious CF Countdown pod guy is a very interesting fellow. I know that. That being said, Cooper Trooper 42, if you want to check out Ryan, I'm sure he's going to be posting. If you got questions about fantasy, give Ryan a message. I know that our friends over at the Turf District are probably messaging him right now, trying to get some strategy out of him. By the way, hi, Mike. Hi, Andrew. You can also follow me at Adam Stewart 1. I got farm photos up there. I've got probably going to be a lot more senior hockey talk pretty quickly here. And make sure you follow also Mike Garrell at Mike Garrell. He will be a man that will be on a mission pretty soon here with all sorts of junior hockey going on. And he's going to be a very, very busy guy. I know that Game Time TV tonight. I know that they're busy also doing a game as well. So, hey, busy guys, if you want to check out them again, Game Time TV MB. Trey?
Yeah, you can find me at Trey MB Harness. I'm not on Twitter as much, school year, but I do pop on time to time. I'll probably be kind of active tomorrow because I have class, but it's also a big day in horse racing for horse racing fans. It's a Little Brown Jug, a pretty big race that goes on. And no, it's not the bar in Winnipeg. It's a pretty big race called the Little Brown Jug. It's actually crazy, but it's a pretty nifty one if you want to get into the horse racing. So I'll be on that at Trey MB Harness. I don't know. Maybe I'll start talking a little bit more about hockey, but that might be a discussion for another day. I might be dabbling in some hockey this fall, so we'll see. But other than that, Star Wars, Call of Duty. Don't come at me with She-Hulk. I'm over that one. So anything else, Game of Thrones, whatever you want, to come talk to me at Trey MB Harness.
And you know what? Also make sure you talk to him about NFL. Big week coming up here. Trey, you want to talk about that bet that you got going on here? That you're this week?
Yeah, just for fun. So normally I do I divide the games up, 4 games, like 4 games in 4 groups, and I parlay them, do the prime times, this and that. But for fun, I had $1 extra sitting in my account. So for fun, 16 game 16 game parlay. $1 could turn into 17 grand if it somehow comes through. So if I'm not on the show anymore, it's because, I for Ricky and Julian, 16,000, that's retirement money, right? So I can go to some trailer park in Nova Scotia and, anyway. No, Richard, don't worry. Not hockey here, just in general on Twitter.
We
don't worry about it.
We're not going to get into details in hockey.
Right. And I'm studying rhetoric and communication. So my hope is to be this, but I get paid for it. Right? Like that's the hope, man. Right. Other than that, I might maybe Adam needs a farmhand. I don't know. We'll see what happens after I graduate, hopefully in the spring.
Absolutely. We could always use some more farmhands out on the field right now. Be nice to finish up harvest, you might even see me next week over. We might do a live pod maybe on a Friday, just as a real quick thing. Live Twitter for a minute just to show something. But hey, we'll see what happens here later on in the week. I think that about does it, Trey. What else have you got going on?
Just take Jalen Waddle, man. He's unreal. He's unreal in NFL fantasy, man. Like, it's that you expect it out of Stephon Diggs, but who would have thought on a team with Tyreek Hill, you know what I mean? You're gonna have a guy get 40, and Tyreek Hill got 40 points too. I think you had two guys on one team getting 40 points in fantasy. That's unreal. Lefty man Tua. What's up with the lefties? That's crazy. What big surprise? Is that the surprise that never worked out?
I think that's the surprise that didn't work out. I don't know if we're even allowed to even really talk about it. But you know what? I'll just mention it this way. Take a look at Twitter, what happened about that time of the CFL, and you'll see why or who we may have had and why we don't have them. If you take a look back, I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it, guys. Otherwise, I would. But we're hoping to get you some more surprises here in the podcast in the weeks to follow. Hopefully we can do everything else, and we can get some extra guys here for you too as well. Perfect. Trey, anything else?
Have a blessed weekend. I don't know, man. Just go for it. Just go for it. Have fun. Be responsible. Don't DM me if you need bail money. That's all I got to tell everybody.
Well, you don't have to worry about me on that one. I don't think I will, but you know what? The week after, you never know. Guys, on behalf of all of us here at the CF Podcast, CFL CFC Football Countdown, want to thank all you guys for watching here tonight. We really appreciate it. We love getting questions from you. If we don't answer one, we apologize. I know that sometimes we do miss the odd one, but we do try to get you guys as much as we can involved in the show, and we love having you here. So give that share, give it a share, give it a like. Make sure you're following the CFC Football Countdown. We enjoy having you all. We'd love to see more in here, of course, at all times. And on behalf of intern Eric and Trey, I am Adam Stewart saying good night and best of luck in week 16 to all those teams.